you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. Loving Lord, we thank you for the time that we've gathered here. Word, Lord, as we continue on with our journey of seeking you, may you continue guiding us, may you continue leading us, may you continue enabling us, to do what you want at that particular time. We ask for your presence as we are seeking you. Thank you, Father. Thank you, mighty Jesus. Name of this prayer, I believe. We are continuing with, as I said, we are continuing with our Bible reading today. We are reading from NIV Bible. Yesterday we ended on chapter 19. We are continuing with Matthew chapter 20. And it goes, before, this is Alice Mwangwa speaking with you. We continue with chapter 20, Matthew chapter 20, the parable of the workers in the vineyard. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner. Who went out in the alley to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About 9 in the morning, he went out and saw others. Standing in the market. You also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right. So they went. He went out again about noon, and about 3 in the afternoon, and did the same thing. About 5 in the afternoon, he went out and found 2 others standing around. He asked them, "Why have you been standing here all day long, doing nothing?" "Because no one has hired us," they answered. He said to them, "You also go and..." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to the foreman, "Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first." The workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon came, and each received a denarius. So when those who were hired first, they expected to receive more, but each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. These who were hired last worked only 1 hour, they said, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the work and the heat of the day." But he answered one of them, "I am not being unfair to you. Friend, don't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give you the one who was hired gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or you are envious because I am generous?" So the last will be first, and the first will be last. Jesus predicts his death a 3rd time. Now Jesus was going up to Jerusalem. On the way, he took the 12 aside and he said to them, "We are going up to be raised to life." A mother's request. Then the mother of Jezebel, Jebez's son, came to Jesus with her sons and kneeling down, asked a favor of him. What is it you in your kingdom? You don't know what you are asking." Jesus said to them, "Can you drink a cup I am going to drink?
We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit on my right or left is not for me, is not for me to grant. These places belong to those whom they have been prepared by my Father. When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers and the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life is a reason for many, is a ransom for many.
Two blind men received sight. As Jesus and his disciples were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. Two blind men were sitting by the roadside, and when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. The crowd rebuked them and told them to be quiet, but they shouted all the louder, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us. Jesus stopped and called them. What do you want me to do for you? He asked. Lord, they answered, we want our sight. Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. Jesus came to Jerusalem as king. Matthew chapter 21. As they approached Jerusalem, on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two disciples, saying to them, go to the village ahead of you, and at once you find a donkey tied there with her coat by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them. He will send them right away. This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. Say to the daughter Zion, so see our king come to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey. The disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them. They brought a donkey and colt and placed their cloaks on them and for Jesus to sit on. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches of trees and spread them on the road. The crowd that went ahead of him and those that followed shouted, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, who is this? The crowds answered, this is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth and Galilee. Jesus at the temple. Jesus entered the temple courts, and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of money changers and the benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said to them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. The blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and teachers of the law saw the wonderful things he did, and the children shouting in the temple courts, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were indignant. Do you hear what these children are saying? They asked to him. Yes, replied Jesus. Have you never read? From the lips of children and infants, you, Lord, have called forth your praise. And he left them and went out of the city of Bethany, where he spent the night. Jesus curses a fig tree. Early in the morning, as Jesus was on his way back to the city, he was hungry. Seeing fig tree by the road, he went up to it but found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said to it, "May you never bear fruit again." Immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw this, they were amazed. How did the fig tree wither so quickly? They asked it. Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done in the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and it will be done. If you believe, you receive whatever you ask for in prayer." Jesus replied, "I'll also ask you one question. If you answer me, I'll tell you by what authority I am doing these things. John's baptism. Where did it come from? Was it from heaven or of human origin?" They discussed it among themselves and said, If we say from heaven, he will ask, then why didn't you believe me? But if we say of human origin, we are afraid of the people, for they all hold that John was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, "Why, we don't know." Then he said, "Neither will I tell you by what authority or I am doing these things." The parable of the two sons. What do you think? There was a man who had two sons. He went to the first and said, "Son, go and work today in the vineyard." "I will not," he answered. But later he changed his mind and went. Then the father went to the other son and said the same thing. He answered, "I will, sir." But he did not go. Which of the two did what his father wanted? "The first," they answered. Jesus said to them, "Truly I tell you, the tax collector and the prostitutes are entering the kingdom of God ahead of you. For John came to you to show you the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and the prostitutes did. And even after you saw this, you did not repent and believe him." The parable of the tenants. Listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted in a vineyard. He put wall around it, dug wine press in it, and built a watchtower. Then he rented the vineyard to some farmers and moved to another place. When the harvest time approached, he sent his servants to the tenants to collect his fruit. The tenants seized his servants. They beat one, killed another, and stoned the third. Then he sent the other servants to them more than the first time, and the tenants treated them the same way. Last of all, he sent his son to them. "They respect my son," he said. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him and take his inheritance. So they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants? He will bring those wretches and arrest, and they replied, and he will rent the vineyard to other tenants who will give him his share and of the crop at the harvest time. Jesus said to them, have you never read in the scriptures? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I tell you that the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to people who produce its fruit. Anyone who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces. Anyone on whom it falls will be crushed. When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard Jesus' parables, they knew he was talking about them. They looked for a way to arrest him, but they were afraid of the crowd because the people heard that he was a prophet. The parable of the wedding banquet, Matthew chapter 22. Jesus spoke to them again in parable, saying, the kingdom of heaven is have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle have been butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet. But they paid no attention and went off. One to his field, another to his business. The rest seized his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his army and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, the wedding banquet is ready, but those I invited did not deserve to come. So go to the street corners and invite to the banquet anyone you find. So the servants went on the streets and gathered all the people they could find, the bad as well as the good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came to see the guests, he noticed it. He noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. He asked it, how did you get in here without wedding clothes, friend? The man was speechless. Then the king told the attendant, tie him hand and foot, and throw him outside onto the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are invited, but few are chosen. Paying the imperial tax to Caesar. Then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians. Teacher, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity. Is it right to pay the imperial tax, Caesar or not? But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, you hypocrites, why are you tying a trap to trap me? Show me the coin used to paying the tax. They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, whose image is this, and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then he said to them, so give back to the Caesar and what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. When they heard this, they were amazed, so they left him and went away. Marriage at the resurrection. The same day, the Sadducees who said there is no resurrection, came to him with a question. Teacher, they said, Moses told us that if a man dies without having children, his brothers must marry the widow and raise up the offspring for him. Now, there were 7 brothers among us. The first one married and died. Since he had no children, he left his wife to his brother. The same thing happened to the second and the third brother. Right on down on the 7th, finally the woman died. Now then, at the resurrection, whose wife she be of the 7? Since all of them were married to her. Jesus replied, You are in error because you do not know the scriptures or the power of God. At the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. But about the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what God said to you? I am God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and prophets hang on these 2 commandments. Whose son is the Messiah? While the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, What do you think about Messiah? Whose son is he? The son of David, they replied. He said to them, How is it then that David, speaking by the Spirit, calls him Lord? For he says, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. If then David calls him Lord, how can he be his son? No one can say a word in reply, and from that day on, no one dared to ask him any more questions. Matthew chapter 23. A warning against hypocrisy. Then Jesus said to the crowd and his disciples, The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders. But they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. And the most important seat in the synagogue. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called Rabbi by others. But you are not to be called Rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth Father, for you have one Father, and He is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those that exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. 7 words on the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. What you, Jesus of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourself do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. What you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over land and sea to win a single convert, And when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much as a child of hell as you are. What you blind guides, you say, if anyone swears to temple, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the god of the temple is bound by that oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the god or the temple that makes the god sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means by that altar swears it by everything. And anyone who swears by the temple swears it by the one who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by the heavens swears by God's throne and by one who sits on it. What you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites, you give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat but swallow a camel. What you, teacher of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites, you clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first clean inside of the cup and dish, then the outside will also be clean. What you teachers, the law of Pharisees, the hypocrites, you are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. What you, Jesus of the law of Pharisees, you hypocrites, you build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves on the righteous, and you say, if we had lived the days of our ancestors, we would have taken part of them and in shedding and blood of prophets. So you testify against yourself and the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started. Some of them will kill and crucify. Others will flog in your synagogue and pursue from the town to town. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood that has been shed on earth, from blood of righteousness, Abel, to the blood of Zacharias, son of Berakah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you, all this will come on this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who killed the prophets and stoned those who sent you, how often I have longed to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her chicks and her wings, and you were not willing. Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is who comes in the name of the Lord. Matthew chapter 24. The destruction of the temple and signs of the end times. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention and its building. Do you see all these things? He asked. Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down. As Jesus was sitting on the mountain of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen, and what will be sign of your coming of the end of age? Jesus answered, watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come, but the end is still to come. Nations will rise against the nation, and kingdoms against the kingdoms. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death. You will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached and in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing on the holy place, the abomination that cause desolation, spoken of through prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judah flee to the mountains. Let no one of the housetops go down to anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their clothes. How dreadful is it to put, how dreadful it will be on those days of pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter and on Sabbath. For then those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. But for those sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, look, here is the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even elect. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, there he is, out of the wilderness, do not go out. Here he is, in the inner room, do not believe. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Where is the carcass, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of the Man of heaven in heaven. And then all the peoples on the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with the power of great glory, and he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. Now learn this lesson from a fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it's it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation certainly not pass away until these things have happened. Heaven on earth will pass away, but my word will never pass away. The day and hour unknown. But about that day and an hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, not the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Up to the day Noah entered the ark, they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be in the coming of the Son. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a hand mill, and one will be taken and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day the Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time the night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you don't expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant? So who is the master? So whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household, to give them their food at the proper time. It will be good for the servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that the servant is wicked, and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will, when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of, he will cut him into pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Matthew chapter 25, the parable of the 10 virgins. At the time of the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and the 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take an oil with them. The wise ones, however, took the oil in jerrycans along with the lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, the cry rang out, "He is the bridegroom. Come out and meet him." Then all the virgins woke and trimmed their lamps. The foolish one said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil. Our lamp is going out." "No," they replied. There may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell and buy some for yourselves." But while we were on our way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later, the others also came. "Lord, Lord," they said, "open the door for us." But he replied, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore I keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." The parable of the bag of gold. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his master's money. After a long time, the masters of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received the 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with the 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things, and come and share your master's happiness. The man with the 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown, and gathered where I have not scattered a seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned it, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold for him and give it to one of the, even what they will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing teeth. The sheep and the goats. When the Son of Man comes his glory, and all his angels with him, he will sit on his righteous throne, and all the nations will be gathered before him. He will separate the people from another, and as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, he will put the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on the right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was hungry, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked for me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invited you, or needing you clothes and clothe you? When did we see the sick in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, trust, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of those brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick in prison, and you did not come to look from after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick or in prison, and did not help you? He will reply, truly I tell you, whatever did not do for one of at least of these, you did not do for me. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Matthew chapter 26. The plot against Jesus. When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, as you know, the Passover is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified. Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, those whose name was Caiaphas, and they schemed to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the festival, they said, or they may be a riot among the people. Jesus anointed at Bethany. While Jesus was in Bethany, in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with a alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining on it. Aware of this, Jesus said to them, why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did not prepare me for burial. Truly I tell you, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. Judas agrees to betray Jesus. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priest and asked, What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. The Last Supper. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus asked, where do you want us to make preparations for you to eat the Passover? He replied, go into the city of a certain man and tell him, the teacher says, my appointed time is near. I am going to celebrate the Passover with my disciples at your house. So the disciples did as Jesus directed them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me. They were very sad and began to say, will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. The woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for them if he had not been born. Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi. Jesus answered, You have said so. While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to the disciples. Take it, and this is my body. Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, Drink it from me, all of you. This is my blood. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for you, for many, for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the mountain of Olives. Jesus predicted Peter's denial. Then Jesus told them, This very night you will all fall away on account of me. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Peter replied, Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will. Truly I tell you, Jesus answered, this very night before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. But Peter declared, Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the other disciples said the same. Gethsemane. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, Sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him. He began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow and point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Going a little further, he fell with the face to the ground and prayed, My Father, it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? He asked Peter, Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Jesus arrested. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived with him. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and asked him. Jesus replied, "What you came for, friend?" Then the man stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him with what one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back at its place," Jesus said to him, for all who drew the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will not once put on my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that same must happen on this way? In that hour, Jesus said to the crowd, "I am leading a rebellion, that you have come out with swords and clubs to capture me. Every day I sat at the temple court teaching, and you did not arrest me. But this has all taken place that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. Jesus before Sanhedrin. Those who had arrested Jesus took him, just him in Cephas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance, right up at the courtyard, to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priest and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus, so that he could put him to death. But they did not find any. Though many false witnesses came forward, finally two came forward and declared, "This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." Then the high priest stood and said to Jesus, "Are you not going to answer? What is this testimony that these men are bringing against you?" But Jesus remained silent. The high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." "You have said so," Jesus replied. "But I say to all you, from now you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we kneel face and struck him with their fists?" Others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, Messiah, who hits you?" Peter disowns Jesus. Now Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and the servant girl came to him. "You also were with him of Galilee," he said. But he denied it before them all. "I did not know what you were talking about," he said. But he went out to the gateway, where another servant girl saw, and said to the people there, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied again with an oath, "I did not know the man." After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses, and he swore to them, I don't know the man. Immediately, a roster crowded. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken. Before the roster crowd, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and wept bitterly. Matthew chapter 27. Judas hangs himself. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned to the 3 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. I have sinned, he said, and I have betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? They replied. That's your responsibility. So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. The chief priests upon the coins and said, "It is against the law to put this into the treasury, since it is blood money." So they decided to use the money, use the money to buy the potter's field as the burial place for foreigners. This is why it has been called field of blood to this day. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah, the prophet, was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel, and they used them to buy the potter's field as the Lord commanded me. Jesus before Pilate. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he was by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release the prisoner chosen by the crowd. At the time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one of you want me to release to you? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest if they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't give anything to do with the innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all answered, Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all louder, "Crucify him." When the Pilate saw that he was sitting nowhere, but instead an uproar and was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood, he said. If it's your responsibility, all the people answered, his blood is on us and our children. Then he released the Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and he hanged him over to be crucified. The soldiers mocked Jesus. The governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff on his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him, and they led him away to crucify him. The crucifixion of Jesus. As they were going out, they met the man from Cyrene, named Simon. They forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall. But after tasting, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him. There, above his head, they placed the written charge against him. "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 rebels were crucified with Jesus, one on his right and on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him. "Shake if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests and teachers of the law and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and he will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now. And if he wants him, for he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults on him. The death of Jesus. From the noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with vinegar, but put it on a staff and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again on a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At this moment, the curtain of the temple was torn into 2 from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God?" Many women were there watching from the distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's son. The burial of Jesus. As evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea, named Joseph, who had himself become disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it on his own new tomb that he had cut out of the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary was sitting there opposite the tomb. The guard at the tomb. The next day, the one after preparations day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. "Sir," they said, "we remember that while he was still alive, that deceiver said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' So give the other for the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, these disciples may come and steal the body and tell people that he has been risen from the dead. The last deception will be worse than the first." "Take a guard," Pilate answered. "Go make the tomb as secure as you." Chapter 28. Jesus has risen. After the Sabbath, at dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went and took the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from earth and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He's not here. He has risen here, Jesus, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead and is going ahead on you into Galilee. There you'll see. Now I have told you." So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. Greetings, he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." The guards report why the women were on their way. Some of the guards went into the city and reported to their chief priests everything that had happened. When the chief priests had met with the elders and devised a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money, telling them, you are to say, his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep. If this report gets to the governor, we will testify him and keep you out of trouble. So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day. The Great Commission. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to every end of the age. We thank you for listening on to this Bible reading. Here comes the end of Matthew. We shall begin from there tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m., with the book of Mark. Thank you. Have a good night. May God bless you.